Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We saw the DJISPR's press conference. We also saw, of course, the heinous attack on Khuzdar school bus. We'll be talking about the ramifications of course, the attack and its related developments with regard to, of course, the press conference. We know that there is evidence of, irrefutable evidence of Indian involvement and, of course, the state-sponsored terrorism that comes from the Indian side. We'll be talking about, of course, the revelations that were talked about in the DJISPR's conference, and also as far as Pakistan's resolve is concerned and our commitment to ensuring that those responsible for killing our children are brought to justice. We'll be talking about all of that today on Perspective. Also, as far as the evidence of Indian sponsored terrorism is concerned, of the way that we saw it unleashed on our children in this attack is something that, of course, as Pakistanis, we are still reeling from. Let's see what the ISPR said, and of course we'll be talking to our guests in detail about what this means for Pakistan and how long we have been talking to the world about the kind of terrorism that repeatedly comes from the Indian side.
ये कौन सी बलोचियत है जिसके अंदर इंसान का जिंदा रहने का हक इसलिए है कि तुम्हारा डीएनए क्या और तुम्हारा जेनेटिक्स क्या है। ये दरिंदे हिंदुस्तान के पैसे पर, हिंदुस्तान के अहकामात पर ये बर्बरियत कर रहे हैं। ये कौन सी आइडियोलॉजी है? ये कोई आइडियोलॉजी नहीं है, ये हैवानियत है। इसलिए ये फितनतुल-हिंदुस्तान है, इसका किसी बलूचिस्तान से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं है।
As the DJISPR said, there is no relevance to any part of Balochistan with what's happening. This is Fitna-Al-Hindustan, as of course we've seen, the way that women and children, the way that children are targeted. As a nation, we are reeling from the shock of having our children bleed again at the hands of these terrorists. I have with me Brigadier retired Haris Nawaz, who's a defense analyst. We'll be talking to him, after which we will go to Senator Sherry Rehman. Please stay with us. Chief Brigadier Saab, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you definitely.
We all saw the press conference today, and there's little doubt about, the revelations that have consistently come forward as irrefutable evidence of what India has been up to on Pakistani soil. Telling the world our story is something, again, we are venturing to do today. Do you think the world is more ready to listen today perhaps than they were 15 years ago even?
I think things are much better because after Indians attacked on Pakistan, and then Pakistan, I think, played hell with them. And within 8 to 10 hours, they came to our knees, and then they were just requesting Americans to please save us from Pakistan. We want to go for de-escalation. That means that Indians had given up. They saw, the world saw our armed forces along with our resolve to restrain provocation. We did not go for that. India just leveled false regulations. They went for flag. They saw operations without giving any proof. Within 10 minutes, they registered an FIR, and within 5 minutes, they started dumping everywhere all over the world through the media, and Pakistan has been blamed, and they've done this all operation, carried out this terrorist attack without any proof. So then they started attacking line of control, then they crossed our international border, then they sent drones, and then later on they started firing missiles, and then Pakistan really played hell with them. The way we sorted them out, the world has come to know that Pakistan is really a force to reckon with. And then we are now victors. People, the whole world has started believing us what we say. Our status has gone very high. In that context, I feel now are all these group of people, senators and MNAs are going to the world to explain Pakistan point of view and telling them what India has been doing all along. And along with that is the time now we must prepare a proper dossier with Jafar Express, what India has been doing it, how the terrorists for the direct communication with the Kabul embassy in withdraw.
I'm going to interject. You're talking about this dossier, but it's also a fact that Pakistan submitted a dossier in 2009 to the Indian Prime Minister, 2015, to the Indian Prime Minister with evidence of the Indian involvement. we are, some 10 years ahead, and yet it continues unabated. Of course, we have done our best. Our security services, security forces, our state remains committed to ensuring that, we bring these perpetrators to justice, and Kulbhushan Yadav is a case in point of that. You, again, like I said, do you think things have changed today to what was earlier, maybe 10 years ago?
Definitely, 100% the things have changed because people have realized that they never thought that Pakistan is really a very strong, mature, responsible nuclear state with professional and battle-hardened army. We have proved what we have done with Indians and how they came to knees. That's what I say. Now people are believing that Pakistan, whatever I've been saying, is correct. India was unaware. Even India is isolated. So this is the time to cash on this situation. And when we're sending a teams abroad to the different countries to explain Pakistan point of view and what India is doing, this is the time we really send a proper dozen. People will listen to Pakistan. That everybody is now believing what Pakistan has been telling all along for the last 20 years, that India is doing terrorism in Pakistan. India actually is now global terrorists. What they have done in Canada, what they've done in USA, then what they have done in Pakistan, the Balochistan, supporting TTP. So now we have to prepare case very strongly, and we will tell the world this is the last warning. If it is proven that Indian was involved in Jafar Express and involved in killing of these small children, and that is a red line, then we are going to go and hit all terrorist camps in Indian territory. Wherever the raw is there,
Of course, telling our story, like, our message for peace, telling our story and of course the Indian involvement remains our top priority, but also within Balochistan, BLA, and our issues within Balochistan, are we also, in your opinion, targeting, resolution there, which is of course extremely important for us?
yeah, definitely we are going to be very clear about everything. What India is doing in Balochistan, BLA, BLF, how they're supporting, and this is one of the factor what has happened in Khuzdar with the children's school bus. Then what India is supporting TTP and Ais Khorasan, that is also there. And also we have to now push forward our Kashmir cause because people, what we used to say that Kashmir remained a nuclear flashpoint. Now the world has realized because when two nuclear powers are fighting each other, then dynamics for war you don't know where it's going to end. You see the attitude of American government, American President Trump. He is very annoyed with American the way they've been talking about the American president. As he has reported many things, Pakistan leaders are very good, military force is very good, and I have a lot of respect for Pakistan. These words never used earlier. The point is now we have to tell the world that really this is a very, very serious point. Kashmir issue must be resolved as per the desperation of the people of Kashmir, and that is to given the right of self-determination. So in that context, now our team going should be very good in communications. They must have logic and they should have prepared the case. Now the whole world is going to listen Pakistan and they have a different idea about Indian because Indian media has been exposed properly. Pakistan media has done a tremendous job. The world was listening Pakistan media because they were really keeping the people of Pakistan, the world intact what all was happening day by day and hour to hour. Whereas Indian media was telling all the time lies and that was proved. So in that context, we are on a very high ground, moral ground also. That's what I say. That now this is the time we tell the world that we will not accept it. If next time India does any destabilizing activity or terrorist
Brigadier
activity,
Saab, there is
we will go.
also, on the one hand, of course, as far as the US president is concerned, as far as, treatment of Pakistan and India, there seems to be parity there seems to be equality there, which is, of course, has ruffled a lot of feathers within India. They don't seem to be understanding that, they thought they would get away yesterday with the false flag operation, and they're continuing, in that vein when we see the Khuzdar attack also. But the kind of stand that's coming in, of course, we are sending our emissaries, we are sending our representatives to tell our story. But do you think rallying otherwise within the region also? We saw, our deputy PM, we saw the Prime Minister, they've gone to different locations, different countries all over. Do you think that we need to rally overall within our region also? Other than, of course, telling the world what's happening and telling the world our story.
The most important thing is that we have to very, very strong in a region. Deputy Prime Minister has already visited China, and then I think next week he's going to Iran. Then I would expect he must visit to Central Asia and to Russia also. Even then, of course, our Middle Eastern countries, because this is the time. First, we should be very strong in our region, and we have to make the region realize that India is playing with fire. If anything next time again this occurs, this fighting occurs, then the fallouts are going to be in this region, the very dangerous, and then even fallouts can go to the globally also. This is what I want to say.
I
We
think we've
have
also talked about, and I think earlier also the Prime Minister mentioned how, our conventional warfare is enough. And, indeed that's been proven if we look at the events that's transpired, after this Pahalgam incident is concerned. So, even traditionally speaking, those that were saying that our arsenal, our training, in terms of combat, all of those things, it is now, of course, proof of the fact that, if we don't, we can beat them in any kind of warfare, whether it's conventional, and nuclear, of course, is something that Pakistan doesn't need when it comes to dealing with India. Isn't that true?
this is definitely true. We can play hell with Indian with a conventional these all the missiles. Let me assure you, the Indians inch of the territory is covered by nuclear these normal conventional these missiles. And a missile technology is really much better than Indians, and I would say it's one of the more nice system in the world. But the point is, Indians are so reckless. If we sort them out, you see, we have warned them again that whatever we have done initially in phase one, this is just a trailer, and we caused only 10% loss to Indian economy and to the military hardware. And second phase is going to be very, very tough. In that, we caused colossal loss to the economy and also to the military hardware. Then we don't see what they are going to do. What I always say when that two nuclear powers are even fighting conventional war, it can anytime lead to further serious situation. Why that situation come? Why not the regional powers should come and play their part to de-escalate to a level that resolves Kashmir issue? This is the main irritant. Like with the United Nations responsibility to honor their own resolution, that is to give a right of self-determination to the Kashmiris. That is what it is all there. So Americans have realized, I think they are going to play their part now. But Pakistan has told the world that we are very responsible, despite the fact that in steady cases we have the first strike capability, second and third, but we have a minimum deterrence. We don't want everything. But when the question of Pakistan's survival, or they push her to the wall, or the deadline is crossed, then anything can happen. That's what I say. That situation should never come. And in our region, we have the four nuclear powered: India, Pakistan, Russia, and China. So we must take them into confidence. China is already all time tested front. Russians have a very soft corner for Pakistan. Then Middle East countries are there. Iran is there. We have to tell them how we have to deal with it. Accordingly, we have to tell that
We
then Middle
talk
Eastern
about,
countries also.
I want to also, we saw the DJISPR criticizing Dr. Mahrukh Baloch and the Baloch Yakchehti committee also, and of course urging the media to expose their affiliations from across the border. Do you think that, what do you expect there in terms of our, reaction to this, in terms of operations there, in your experience? What do you expect to happen now from the Pakistani side?
DJISPR was very clear, and Marang Baloch, you can say, then about this Baloch Qawmi Yakjehti Committee, they're all on the payrolls of Indian Raw. Today, yesterday, on 21st, you see, these are the Balochi children. Balochis, our Pakistani Balochis have died. Did you hear any condemnation from the side of Baloch Yogjeti committee or Marang Baloch or their other groups which they always speak out, or even from even Akhtar Mengal, a certain Baloch leader? It is very disappointing. That is clearly manifest that they are working only for Indian Raw, and they are on the poor like a missing person. They are all enrolled people in BLA, BLF, and BNA and Majid Brigade. So the issue is not things have been highlighted properly, and when the team are emissaries are going, they must tell the world what India is doing, how India is destabilizing this region, and then what is going to be fallouts. That I'm sure Foreign Office is going to brief them properly.
But when we tell the world, regardless, of course, that is one part of a huge part of our diplomacy. Internally speaking, do you think that we need to? There are in terms of what Pakistan has to do internally to cleanse our own soil of these terrorists and those, of course, that play to the tune of because there is irrefutable proof now.
You see, the point is, government of Pakistan needs to have three, four-pronged strategy. Number one, our intelligence-based operation must continue, rather it should be intensified. Military is doing their part. They are keep doing intelligence operation. They are keep killing, and we are really broken the back of the terrorists, because now you must have seen the day Indian 6-7 May night attacked. There were 71 terrorists were killed in one night from Northwestern and Southwestern. So that means that we are really having a grip, and the local they've also joined supporting Pakistan, and whenever they come to the village, so they support Pakistan armed forces. But the issue is now they're going for soft target like children's school bus. So one strong part, a problem strategy is that we are fighting it out. Secondly, the federal government must go to Quetta, must approach the national political parties of Balochistan. Are there reservations? What do they want? What are their issues? That we have to resolve. Then third is the socio-economic factor. Though DJISPR told how many cadets college we have established over there, then how many other schools there, medical units, road communication, a lot of development work has been done, and army has really taken a part in nation building. But then it is the government of Pakistan, federal government, and the government has to sit down, and they have to see what all is needed, how the youth has to be given schooling, colleges, then job opportunities, because the idle man is a devil's mind. Indian robot, they do any boy, young man or boy without job, they just win him there because they fall prey to the hostile agencies. Instead, if we give them some job, or if they have a land, there is no water, we give them a solar tubes. Likewise, so many things we can gain, because then they will remain busy and they will not they can't be fall into this intelligence. So this has to be worked properly, and it's all the government and the Brazilian government responsibility. Everywhere military cannot be there. They're already doing embroiled in western border, they're embroiled in eastern border, then working in fighting terrorism in the country. So everybody has to play their part. That is what we say. It is very important, because trillions of dollars or millions, minor minerals are there in Pakistan. The world is looking towards it. They're not happy. They don't want Pakistan to become economic joint. We are Islamic country. We are a nuclear country. Our geostrategic location is very good, but we have a battle hardened army. If do economic prosperity, we'll take the scene in the national interest. That is they don't want. They want we should remain under the control of IMF World Bank. This we have to decide. That's what we have to tell Chinese, Russian, and Afghan government. And it was very happy note I saw that Afghan foreign minister was there, our foreign minister was there, and also Chinese foreign minister was there. So they were having a meeting in China. This seeing the very good vibes. Let's hope
But
out of
there
the good.
needs to be consistency, because at this time we're looking at a lot of proactive diplomacy from the Pakistani side. We are looking at, like you also mentioned, we are looking at a lot of visits from the Deputy PM, the Prime Minister, and of course these delegations also. And earlier on also there was an effort to do this, but there needs to be. Do you think that now is the time for this to continue, and for there to be consistency? so that we continue to tell the world what is happening to us and what is being done to us, because of course the kind of evidences that we have, but we've had those as far as Kulbhushan Yadav is concerned. It didn't happen yesterday, and yet there doesn't seem to be any any reaction, conclusive reaction from the world, which we would have liked.
There's a big difference. Previously, people will buy and listen to India. Their media was strong. You must have said this InfoLab, EU, this InfoLab, hundreds of different websites, and they would buy. They would not buy Pakistan idea. What we are saying. Now the time has changed. Pakistan has emerged as a very strong regional military and economic power and political power, because we have seen under the leadership of Field Marshal Asim Munir that the whole nation is united. They stood together. We fought as a nation to sort out Indians. That's what I'm saying. Now the perception of Pakistan has changed in the eyes of the whole world. Now they will listen to us what we say. The world has realized that Pakistan has been on the right side, and India has been always been telling a lie to serve their own, win their own elections. They've been creating false flag operations. They've been killing their own 45 serving soldiers they killed in Pulwama when they were having a general elections. And now they killed their own 29, 27 tourists to win Bihar elections. So that's what I'm saying. Now people will listen to Pakistan. Pakistan's stature has gone sky high, and Indian image has gone right sunk into the sea. That's a different. Now, even USA statement you must have seen, European Union, did anybody openly support India? Let's say Israel. No one. The China, then you see Turkey, Azerbaijan, and then of course Malaysia. They supported Pakistan. Other countries were having a tacit support of Pakistan. So that's what I'm saying. Now is the time. People have realized that India is wrong. India is trying to bullying Pakistan. They have a hegemonic design in this region. Akhand Bharat means
They are still talking about water terrorism openly. This is Modi's Hindutva doctrine, this is Modi's India, this is an India which has little to no tolerance for minorities. This is an India that perpetrates terror in their neighboring countries, or we saw it happen in Canada also. So this is that kind of India. Do you think that in this is an India that is ready to listen?
no, now they will not listen. You see, the point is the miserably they have lost, the way they have been slapped on the face. You see, the whole world has come to the true face of India. They want just second Bharat. They want only upper class of Hindu to be there, rest all, even Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, low caste Hindus, seven sisters, northeastern side. They don't want anybody to be there, and then they want Akhand Bharat means whole of subcontinent, and they go right Afghanistan up to central parts of Central Asia. So this is what their designs are there. They've never ruled less these 1947 onward. Otherwise, everybody would come outside and they will go and roll in the subcontinent. That's what I'm saying. That this has been exposed now. The Indians have nothing to sell the public. They have been telling we have done this. We have captured Lahore. Lahore port has been destroyed. Quetta has been captured. Field Marshal Asim Munir has been removed. All those stories gone. That and then now what they have to sell the public only the Sandur operation is on. We are going to do this, terrorism is this, we are going to go and keep fighting, we will not accept it, we will go for water terrorism. That's what is on story they have. Nobody is going to buy this. That's what I'm saying. This is a time we must have a very offensive, aggressive diplomatic offensive. Along with our team should go and tell the world this about this region how it is difficult. I am sure now it's the right thing, time for government of Pakistan to control the world and tell them what all has been happening, what is likely to happen, and how
Thank you
this
so
region
much,
is so
Brigadier Saab.
volatile.
Thank you for your very valuable time. I understand that you have limited time. Thank you for being with us today. I'm going to go to Lieutenant General Raza Khan, who is former President NTU. General Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Jansa, we saw, I'm sure that you saw the press conference by DJISPR. Of course, we are all reeling from the tragic incident that happened in Khuzdar. As far as this evidences are concerned that were presented by the DJISPR, there is little doubt about what is happening from the Indian side. How do you look at these evidences at this time, and do you think that the world is ready to listen to what the Pakistan has to say at this time?
Well, I think, first of all these evidences, all the dossiers that we have, I think they need to be, first of all, shared with the FATF, which is the Financial Action Task Force, with indications, clear, auditable sort of documents that proves that India was financing these terrorists inside Pakistan. And the world is aware how they did it, when they were undertaking terrorism in other countries like Canada, the United States, and Australia. They have been using the same modus operandi of hundi and hawala. And therefore, it is a clear-cut case that we take it first to the Financial Action Task Force with a request that they terminate the Indian membership of the FATF and thereafter to put them on the blacklist. I think China, Saudi Arabia, and many friends of ours who are members of the FATF may like to help us in this matter. The next.
I think that, Jalsa, do you think that, of course, like you are saying, I think that's very, very aptly put. We need to ask for penal consequences. But again, the question is that we are living in a world where, we are looking at Israel atrocities every day. We are looking at women and children die every day. In your opinion, do you think that the world is ready to listen to what India is doing?
Well, I think there is really no comparison between Israel and India, and therefore I think we must make an effort in that direction. The second thing that we need to do is to go to the UN Security Council and invoke the 5 resolutions passed so far by them on counter-terrorism, where all countries of the world are required, they are mandated to make sure that their territories are not used for terrorism against anyone, and to help and assist all those countries who have been aggrieved because of the terrorism. And these resolutions were passed in 2001, 2003, 2014, and 2016. They are very elaborate, detailed dossiers, resolutions. And therefore, I think we need to make this effort as well. At the same time,
General Sahab, the world today is different from the world which were presented with dossiers earlier on, about 10 years ago. This world, you think, is more amenable to listen to Pakistan's story? This world is more prepared, more accepting of the terrorism that comes from India than it was 10 years ago when Kulbhushan Yadav was presented to them? The dossiers were presented to them?
Well, there may be, the world may or may not have changed, but we must make both these efforts because they will then come on record, both at the FATF as well as at the UN Security Council. It is better than doing nothing. Okay, the third major step that we need to undertake is, as I've been saying, is to now include the provincial action plans, particularly in Balochistan and in KP, their frontline states, provinces, and I think special focus needs to be put on increasing their capacities to counter terrorists with the help and assistance of the Federation, and we have to do that. Finally, I think there are a number of ways that Pakistan can make sure that the financiers, the supporters, the safe havens, and all those leaders the triangle of Modi, Doval, and the like, which are actually physically involved in the planning and execution of these terrorist activities. They are the ones, I think, who needs to be targeted at the international level, at the national level, because not only have they undertaken terrorism in Pakistan, but also in their own countries against their own people for political advantage. And Pulwama and thereafter, Pahalgam are a very clear manifestation of this. Their own people need to ask them questions, serious questions, that why were, why was no security provided there, and why were these 4 terrorists allowed, to travel 200 kilometers inside Indian held Kashmir to undertake terrorist activities and then go scot-free. So it happened because they were themselves involved in it. They are killing their own people, and therefore they are the biggest terrorists of the world. And this again should also, Pakistan and the rest of the world need to put them on probation and see what they are doing. If they continue this kind of a behavior, then Pakistan has a number of options, not necessarily, military options. But they have a number of options to make sure that they do not use their proxies against us in the future.
Overall, in terms of, if we look at 2015, the UN dossiers, the Indian involvement, like you said, whether the world has changed or not, the question is, we do have at this time the US involvement, and of course, for we've seen the Indians consistently try to disregard it, consistently try to brush it off and say that there was really, try to manipulate it to show that, of course, the way that the US president has treated Pakistan and India, the way that he's dealt with us in parity, he's talking about Kashmir also. Do you think that there's possibility of this is being done so that there is no headway in that direction to circumvent any kind of progress?
You see, I think the US president is a realist. He's also a deal maker and a businessman. He knows that if India and Pakistan's fight on contentious issue, obviously there will be no trade anywhere. I think particularly in Asia, because the consequences are very, very serious, and that is one reason why he wanted to intervene and he wanted to facilitate, or he wanted to make sure that at least the fighting stops. And I think everyone else, at least in the United States and the rest of the world, is quite satisfied about what is happening. On the other hand, the Indian Prime Minister and their defense ministers are provoking Pakistan again and again. And they want that we should also undertake some kind of a military action against the terrorists, the proxies of India. But I think we are not like India. We will first find, credible evidence that can actually stand the test of even international scrutiny, and then present it to the people of India, to the people of Pakistan, to the media all over the world. And thereafter, as I said, Pakistan would have the right, to respond in any way that it can, whether it is cis-frontier or trans-frontier in India or in Afghanistan or anywhere else, not necessarily employing, military power.
Right. Thank you so much, General Saab. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We are going to, we also have with us Dr. Maria Sultan. Dr. Maria, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Dr. Maria, of course, the press conference today, it's also brought to light a lot of, proofs, the evidences of India's transgressions, the way that they've, of course, used Pakistan's soil to to perpetrate terrorism. In your opinion, do you think that, India is on a diplomatic backfoot at this time? Because clearly, the world is asking questions after Pahalgam. The world is asking how, why, and the fact and the lack of any evidence that India has still today even, been unable to tender in that regard.
Actually, I think the problem with New Delhi at the moment is that it has lost the war. And unfortunately, it has also lost the battle. And the battle was not only, for the upper narrative or so and so forth. The battle was for Kashmir because they had tried to, paint the resistance movement in Kashmir as a terror movement. Unfortunately, it didn't go through the way they had expected. The momentum they had built, everything became questionable. People brought back the original focus of the Kashmir dispute, asking that the issue needs to be resolved because it can become a nuclear flashpoint. So this basically meant that whatever they had tried to, depict in Belgaum, did not go through because there were questions, there were holes in their story, and so on and so forth. Now, in that context, they want to reverse the situation. And in order to reverse the situation, now they are trying to create a similar kind of narrative in terms of linking the issues which people are having in Balochistan to terrorism. Now, what we have done today is, I think, a good move because we have, for the first time, de-linked the Balochistan issue in the context in which we are facing it. One, we are facing the issue of terrorism. So for us, the issue of terrorism is not something which is indigenous. It has got 100% external roots, and these roots have been sponsored by India. So that is why we have termed and framed that issue into as Fitna-Al-Hindustan. And at the same time, we've also brought into, the frame the fact that, according to the UN Security Council, counterterrorism committees, BLA has been designated as a global terrorist organization. And also not just by Pakistan, but also by United States and other international countries. So it basically means a designated terror organization, which is right now being funded by India. It has been declared by India as the forerunner for the Baloch situation. So that has been, for the first time, or counterterrorism narrative has been de-linked from the state-building initiatives which are required in Balochistan. So when it comes to state-building initiatives, we shall be focusing on it. We will be looking at whatever challenges we are having in Balochistan and coming up with a different framework of not only orientation, readdressal, but also to fix those administrative issues.
Even in this kind of environment, there's a lot of warmongering still happening. There's a lot of inflammatory content that keeps coming from across the border. There is, they're not being cautious, they're being rather reckless. Do you think that it is being done consciously to perhaps, propel Pakistan to react? Or do you think that it is, of course, also part of the kind of media that we see, the kind of state-sponsored media also, because there seems to be no independent media there at this time? How do you look at things there?
I think for the first time, New Delhi stands in the absolute glory of absolute military defeat. And this is something which they had not anticipated. And what is worse is that it is an undisputed victory. So an undisputed victory has left them with no notion of victory. And since they are not left with any notion of victory, they are scrambling to recreate, to regain that leverage which they have decisively lost in this Pahalgam operation and the war which has happened between India and Pakistan. They're deliberately trying to show that it is a skirmish. They're deliberately trying to undermine this and trying to show that it is a counterterrorism operation, that they deliberately held back, while the reality is quite contrary to it. Let's just look at things at from a longer lens. Just recently, we had Jafar Express. So after Jafar Express, you had the Indian media, which had access to all these Fitna-Al-Hindustan footage, and they were like almost giving a live minute-to-minute access, while all media did not have any access to these terror groups. Secondly, the moment this finished, we had Palkam, so we had another terror incident. And that terror incident, instead of they coming up with any kind of inquiry, any kind of rapprochement, any kind of international investigation, they try to build up the war narrative. And then while this stopped, the next thing what we have faced is heinous beyond words. They attacked a school bus with children. And this is something which has been, it reminisces with what they did with the APS children before. So this means that there is a method in the madness. Yes, they want response, but right now, for them, they're not looking for Pakistan to respond back. This is not what they're looking at. They're just trying to build up the narrative in which they can regain, the credibility which was lost domestically by showing that, they are hurting Pakistan. Two, they want to, paint the Pakistani law enforcement agencies and Pakistani armed forces as oppressors, because they believe that there are some administrative legal gaps which are not addressed in Balochistan. So they are trying to link those issues to their actions which they are linking to terrorism. So what we have done today is we have intellectually and figuratively and in terms of framework of operations de-linked the two. The terror which is originating from New Delhi will be seen as terrorism which is originating from New Delhi. The issues which we are facing otherwise will be addressed in terms of whatever administrative requirements are needed to deal with the counterterrorism challenge domestically in order to safeguard the people and also to ensure that the counter-insurgency converts into responsible state building for Pakistan. So this is the challenge which we're looking at.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maria. On that note, thank you so much for being with us. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. As we saw the DJISPR's press conference today, he detailed a string of attacks carried out under the Indian direction. Of course, Nushki, if we look at Harnai, Lasbela, Jafar Express, and now of course the way that we've seen the women, the children being killed in the school bus incident in Khuzdar. There's a host of instances, there's a host of perpetration of terror that's coming from across the border, and there's little doubt about it. The evidences were presented to the world. The question is now, is the world going to listen to a country like India that perpetrates terrorism and creates this kind of strife, creates this kind of terror in a region where, of course, there are two nuclear states, of course, facing each other. And that is something that has been a cause of concern not only for the world, but also particularly for the US, as we've seen. Pakistan, of course, is going to tell its story. And Pakistan, of course, is going to take its message of peace also to the world. The question is the world prepared to listen and do what it must do when we look at penal consequences to the atrocities and the action from across the border? Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.